Let's be honest with each other. Is there anything more frustrating than feeling like your masculine engine is slowly running on fumes? Maybe you're only 50, but your body feels like it's 75, exhausted and worn out. Instead of those powerful, proud shots you used to have that confirmed your manhood, what you're seeing now is just thin, weak, watery drips. It doesn't just make you disappointed in yourself, it makes you hesitant, maybe even ashamed when you're with your partner. But listen to me closely. The number on your birth certificate, or even that shocking erection age, age result, is not a life sentence. You want to overperform, not just settle. Whether you're worried about your age or even if you think you're out of hope, you can absolutely reverse this situation and reclaim that thickness and satisfaction. Today, we're going to dive deep into decoding the root causes, like how excess PSA levels might be liquefying your semen too quickly, even before it has a chance to launch. And the best part? I'm going to show you simple, 100% natural ways to thicken up your payload without having to sacrifice your pleasure. Let's get into it. Mechanism 1, the ingredients and the 90% secret. First things first, we need to pull back the curtain and expose the number one silent culprit hiding in your body. Now, in the medical world, we call this oligospermia. It sounds like a mouthful, but simply put, it just means a low sperm count. Let me break this down with an analogy so you can really visualize it. Imagine your load is like a protein smoothie. The swimmers, your sperm, are the fruit, the pulp, the solid ingredients that give the smoothie its thickness and texture. Now, if you throw a ton of ice and water into a blender but only toss in a couple of tiny pieces of fruit, what happens? You don't get a smoothie, you get watery, flavorless slush that melts into juice almost instantly. It works the exact same way down there. When your sperm density drops, the internal structure of the semen breaks down. That is exactly why it comes out looking clear, thin, and watery, instead of that thick, pearly white consistency that we all want to see. But hold on a second. I need you to lean in and listen closely right now, especially my guys out there who have had a vasectomy. I know exactly what a lot of you are thinking right now. You're sitting there thinking, well, game over for me. I've had the snip, the pipeline is cut, and I have zero sperm effectively. Does that mean I have zero hope of ever thickening my load again? Am I stuck with this watery stuff forever? Absolutely not. Do not fall into that trap. Here is a medical reality check that very few doctors actually take the time to explain to you. The truth is, sperm actually accounts for a tiny, tiny fraction of your total volume. We're talking only about 5 to 10% of the total load. That's it. So the million-dollar question is, what makes up the other 90 to 95%? That massive majority is what we call seminal plasma. It's a rich cocktail of nutrients, proteins, fructose, and enzymes. And guess what? This fluid is produced primarily by your seminal vesicles and your prostate gland, not your testicles. So, what's the bottom line for you? It means that even if you have a naturally low sperm count, or even if you have had a vasectomy and there is literally zero sperm in your ejaculate, you can absolutely still produce loads that are thick, gel like, and have impressive volume. The key to success here isn't worrying about that missing 5% of swimmers. The key is optimizing the 90% of fluid that is still being produced. If we can upgrade the performance of your prostate and seminal vesicles, you are still going to possess those powerful rope shooting loads that are visually satisfying. So, regardless of your current status or medical history, the hacks and solutions I'm about to share are going to be effective for you. Don't click away because we are just getting started. Mechanism 2, the factory and the medication paradox. All right, we've covered the ingredients. Now let's shift gears and talk about the engine. We already know that 90% of your load comes from internal glands, but what exactly are the factories producing this stuff? Meet your two best friends, the seminal vesicles and the prostate. Specifically, those two tiny seminal vesicles tucked right behind your bladder. They might be small, but they punch way above their weight class. They are actually responsible for producing up to 70% of your. But here's the thing, for this factory complex to run smoothly 24/7, it needs premium fuel, and that fuel source is none other than testosterone. A lot of guys make the mistake of thinking testosterone is just a sex drive hormone, Like you have a lot, you're horny, you have a little, you're not. Wrong. Testosterone is actually the electricity that directly powers these glands. When your testosterone levels drop, low T, the factory experiences a brownout or a total power failure. The result? Your prostate and seminal vesicles start lagging, they shut down, and they can't produce those rich proteins and fluids. And you know exactly what happens next. The final product lacks texture, lacks volume, and comes out thin and watery like tap water. Now, this is where I need to have a serious man to man talk with those of you currently on medication. I know a huge chunk of my audience is in that middle age bracket where you might be taking blood pressure medication daily, or maybe you're on testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, to get your edge back. There is a painful paradox here that very few doctors will actually sit down and explain to you. First, let's talk blood pressure meds. Some of these drugs work by reducing the pumping pressure of your heart. That is fantastic for keeping you alive and saving your heart, but it can be a disaster for your little guy. Why? Because when blood flow to the pelvic region is throttled down, your semen producing factory gets starved of oxygen and nutrients. No blood flow equals no production. It's that simple. Second, for my guys on TRT, this can be a double edged sword. When you inject exogenous testosterone from the outside, your body can misinterpret the signal, think it has plenty of supply, and tell your testicles to, well, retire early and stop natural production. Long term, this can actually lead to testicular shrinkage and a decrease in actual semen volume, even if your blood work shows high T levels. So, what's the solution? Throw away your meds? Absolutely not. You need those to stay healthy. Instead, you need a sidekick to open up the floodgates, and that sidekick is nitric oxide. My hack for you is to immediately start adding nitric oxide rich foods like beets, watermelon, or L-citrulline supplements to your diet. These help naturally dilate your blood vessels, ensuring that the factory down south still gets 100% of the blood and raw materials it needs to operate at full capacity, all without interfering with your doctor's heart protocol. Remember this mantra: where the blood flows, life grows. Mechanism 3, the liquefier versus the thickener. Now let's get to the most fascinating part. This is where the real magic happens. Have you ever wondered why sometimes the moment you finish, it comes out completely runny like tap water? The answer lies in a microscopic tug of war happening between two very specific characters inside your body. The first character, you might recognize the name from cancer screenings, is PSA, prostate specific antigen. Under normal circumstances, PSA is the good guy. Its job is to wait until after you ejaculate and then slowly liquefy the semen so the swimmers can break free and hunt for the egg. But here's the problem. When your prostate gets irritated, inflamed, or just enlarged due to age, your PSA levels can skyrocket. When that happens, PSA goes from being a helpful worker to going into complete overdrive. Instead of waiting a few minutes, this excess PSA attacks and liquefies your semen instantly, too quickly. The result? The moment it leaves your body, it melts into water completely instead of holding that satisfying texture. So, how do we fight back? We need our second character, Semenogelin. It sounds like a sci-fi name, right? But this is the hero responsible for your texture. Semenogelin is a special protein that gives your load that thick, sticky, gel-like consistency immediately after release. Think of it like making jelly. Semenogelin is the gelatin powder. If you try to make jelly but forget to add the gelatin, it doesn't matter how much water or sugar you use. It will never set. It's the exact same down there. Without enough semenogelin, your semen lacks structure, has no grip, and just runs off like water. So our battle plan is actually very simple. We need to suppress the rebellious PSA and pump up the volume on that gelatin powder, semenogelin. If you can pull those two levers, you will see a miraculous change in thickness almost immediately. Mechanism 4, environment control, water, and fire. We've almost reached the finish line, but there is one final piece of the puzzle, an environmental factor that, if ignored, will flush all your hard work, nutrition, and exercise right down the toilet. We need to talk about hydration and heat. Take a look at your load. If it's looking yellowish, super sticky like glue, but the volume is tiny, that is not the thick we are aiming for. That is a warning sign that your body is concentrated and severely dehydrated. You have to remember the main ingredient in semen is still water. You cannot create a river if the source is dried up. My hack, and this is something many of my subscribers have confirmed works 16, is to turn yourself into a hydration machine. Don't wait until you're thirsty. Aim for nearly a gallon or 3 to 4 liters of water a day to ensure your plasma and body fluids are overflowing. When you are fully hydrated, you will see the color shift from unhealthy yellow to pearly white, and the volume will jump significantly. Now for the second enemy, heat. Your factory, especially the testicles, is biologically designed to operate at a temperature lower than the rest of your body. That's why they hang outside. But our modern habits are literally cooking them every day. Tight underwear, sitting on hot leather chairs for 8 hours, scalding hot showers, or resting a hot laptop right on your lap. High heat doesn't just kill sperm, wiping out that 5 to 10% solid content, it causes oxidative stress to the entire production facility. So, what's the fix? Implement the cooling protocol. Ditch the tight briefs. Switch to loose, breathable boxers immediately. If you have a desk job, stand up every 30 minutes to let things air out. And most importantly, try a cold shower. Or at the very least, blast some cold water down there at the end of your shower. This doesn't just protect the factory, it's a fantastic hack to naturally boost testosterone production. Remember, a cool, hydrated environment is a paradise for production. Don't turn your body into a dry desert. Action 1. The Hydraulic Nutrition Protocol. All right, enough theory. How do we turn all that science into real-world results? Let's start with what you put in your body. I call this the Hydraulic Nutrition Protocol. First up, let's talk about zinc. If your semen had a best friend, it would be zinc. You guys have probably heard the drill. Eat oysters, pumpkin seeds, grass-fed beef, cashews. That's all true. But here is where most guys get it wrong. Here is the expert secret that nobody tells you and why you might be wasting your money on supplements. Zinc needs a wingman. If you are loading up on zinc but you are deficient in vitamin B6, your body struggles to actually absorb it and deliver it to your prostate. So here's the pro tip. Always pair your zinc-rich foods with vitamin B6 or find a supplement stack that has both. That is how you unlock the full potential. Next, if your goal is pure volume, I'm talking about impressive load size, then you need to add this specific ingredient to your daily routine immediately. Lecithin. You can get it from sunflower or soy sources. Lecithin is an incredible emulsifier that is famous in the industry for increasing semen volume fast. But listen to me closely. Lecithin is useless if you are dehydrated. You have to drink a ton of water. Think of it like building a house. Zinc is the cement. It provides the structure, the thickness, and the quality. Lecithin and water are the aggregate and the filler. They are what fill up the tank to the brim. You need both. You want it thick, thanks to zinc, and you want a lot of it, thanks to lecithin. If you miss one part of this equation, you're never going to get that result you're looking for. Action 2, the edging strategy, no more 7-day droughts. Finally, we have to address the elephant in the room, frequency. Now, in previous videos, or maybe even from your own doctor, you've probably heard the standard advice. You need to abstain from ejaculating for 5 to 7 days to let the volume build up. Be honest with me, when you hear that, you just want to turn off the video, right? I get it. Telling a healthy guy with a high drive to go on a monk mode detox for a full week is absolute torture. It's frustrating, it creates stress, and honestly, nobody wants to do that, so scratch that. Today, I'm giving you a smarter, more modern upgrade. It's called the edging protocol. The rules of the game are simple. You still engage, you still enjoy all the sensation and pleasure, but your mission is to stop right before you hit the point of no return. You bring yourself right to the edge of the cliff, but you do not jump. Why is this genius? Because when you stimulate without releasing, you are sending a frantic signal to your body. Hey, we are about to need a ton of ammo. Start production now. Consequently, your seminal vesicles and prostate go into overtime, producing and stockpiling fluid twice as fast as normal. You get to keep the pleasure and fill up the tank without having to live like a celibate monk. Now, if edging sounds too difficult or frustrating for you, okay, let's compromise with the 48-hour rule. Instead of suffering through a 7-day drought, just try to hold out for at least 48 to 72 hours. Research suggests this is the sweet spot. It's the minimum time required for your body to recover about 70% of your peak volume and quality. That is a heck of a lot more manageable than a week, right? Give it a shot, and trust me, you will see the difference next time. So, we've covered a lot of ground together in this video. But before we part ways, I want us to get real with each other one last time. Look back at the real reason you clicked on this video in the first place. Was it that sinking feeling of disappointment right when the fun ended? Was it the frustration of seeing your results come out looking thin, clear, and lifeless? You remember your younger days when everything was thick, powerful, and proud, and now you're asking yourself, what the hell is happening to me? Am I officially washed up? Please do not ignore these signs. Watery semen isn't just a cosmetic issue or about how it looks. It is a flashing red alarm from your body telling you that your internal factory is in trouble. It's signaling that your testosterone is tanking, your prostate is crying for help, or your nutrition is critically deficient. But here is the good news: you do not have to accept that fate. Right now, the steering wheel is back in your hands. Today, you are walking away with the treasure map. You know the secret about the 90% fluid volume, which is huge news, even for my guys with vasectomies. You have the hydraulic nutrition protocol, zinc paired with B6 and lecithin. And most importantly, you have the smart edging strategy instead of suffering through a 7-day drought. Your mission now is simple. Don't just watch this video and move on. Turn this knowledge into power. I want every week to be a hard week for you. Thank you for sticking with me. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's start your comeback story today. See you next time.